This has a benefit on the topic of, or within the topic of al-qadr wal-qada, that you should never ever stop working hard. Some people, when they hear about qadr, what they do is they stop working hard. They said, if Allah wanted to guide me, He will guide me, and it's already written for me, and what shall I do, and all of that. But if they focus upon these ayat, and the Quran doesn't contradict, right? They will see that what is required from you in al-iman bil-qadr is two things.
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. The brothers and sisters today will have to forgive me for my low voice today. My voice is a little bit, it's a little sore. So inshallah I will try to get as close to the mic as possible, and I will try to, inshallah, let everybody hear me. So we reach the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَأْسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا. As is our normal habit, we're going to read the summary of Ibn Kathir, and we're going to explain what Ibn Kathir said, and then inshallah ta'ala we're going to add to it with some points of benefit from some of the mashayikh, the scholars of tafsir, and our scholars who explain to us. قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى وقوله تعالى ويسقون فيها كأسا كان مزاجها زنجبيلا، أي ويسقون يعني الأبرار أيضا في هذه الأكواب كأسا أي خمرا كان مزاجها زنجبيلا، فتارة يمزج لهم الشراب بالكافور وهو بارد، وتارة بالزنجبيل وهو حار ليعتدل الأمر، وهؤلاء يمزج لهم من هذا تارة ومن هذا تارة. وأما المقربون فإنهم يشربون من كل منهما صرفا كما قاله قتادة وغير واحد. وقد تقدم قوله جل وعلا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله، وقال ها هنا عينا فيها تسمى سلسبيلا، أي الزنجبيل عين في الجنة تسمى سلسبيلا. وقال عكرمة اسم عين في الجنة. وقال مجاهد سميت بذلك لسلاسة سيلها وحدة جريها. Ibn Kathir, he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, regarding the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَأْسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا. Yusqawna, they will be given to drink. They will be given to drink. Who will be given to drink? Ibn Kathir says, Al-Abrar, the righteous people. Now Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah ta'ala, he follows a particular path here, which is that he distinguishes between al-abrar wal-muqarrabun, between the general righteous people of Jannah, the people of Jannah in general, and the people who are especially close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those who are very close to Allah, they are called al-muqarrabun. And those who are very close to Allah, those who are very, very close to Allah, they are called al-muqarrabun. And as for al-abrar, they are the general righteous people. Now there is no doubt that this distinction is correct, because in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah Azza wa Jal describes two groups in Jannah. He describes al-muqarrabin, those people who are very, very close to Allah, and He describes the people of Jannah in general. However, is this distinction all the way through the Quran, or is it only in places? Generally, Ibn Kathir, a lot of the time, he distinguishes between them. So in their clothing, he distinguishes between them. In their drink, he distinguishes between them. In their food, he distinguishes between them. And that these are different people, the people from the highest places of paradise and the general people. Others from the scholars of tafsir, what they did is, in places they distinguish, like Surah Al-Waqi'ah, but elsewhere they said, no, all these ayat about the clothing of the people of Jannah is for everyone in Jannah in general. And no doubt, Jannah is of different levels and different people will have different things. There is no doubt about that. So here, Ibn Kathir, he talks about al-abrar, the righteous people. And he says that they will have ka'san, they will have khamran. Any kas is used for a glass of alcohol, a glass of wine. The word kas is not normally used in classical Arabic except for when it is alcohol. Ka'san ay khamra. Kana mizajuha. Mizaj is when you mix something together with zanjabil. Now we know zanjabil. Zanjabil is ma'ruf, ginger. But Allah had already mentioned about the mizaj, the mixture, being kafur, which is camphor. So Ibn Kathir mentions a benefit here. Camphor is barid, it's cold, right? It makes the drink cooling. And zanjabil, you know, when you have a sore throat or you have a cold, zanjabil is har, it's hot, right? It warms you up. So he said that Allah gives them from this and from this. Sometimes it's mixed with zanjabil, which gives it a warmth, and sometimes it's mixed with camphor, which gives it a cooling taste. Like in the way that mint, when you put mint in something, it makes it cold, right? It gives it a cooling taste. And then when you put, for example, ginger in something, it makes it hot. So he says they get a mix of this and this, so that they sometimes have that which cools them and that which warms them. And in any case, in Jannah, there is no heat and cold, there is no extreme heat and cold. The Arabs of old, they used to always, or they used to highly rate, when they used to drink alcohol in the time of Jahiliyyah, mixing it with something to remove its taste and to remove its smell. Because we know that alcohol, it has a very, very bad taste. And it has a horrible smell. There is nothing good about it at all. That's why they call it Khaba'ith, the mother of everything which is filthy. There is nothing good about it. It doesn't smell nice, it doesn't taste nice, it doesn't have a nice effect. As for in Jannah, the situation is different. But still, Allah spoke to them in what they understood. So for them, the best of their khamr, the best of their alcohol, was that which was mixed with something to remove its smell and its taste. And so Allah Azza wa Jal told them that in Jannah, not only will the wine itself taste good, لَذَّةٍ لِلشَّارِبِينَ, it will be a pleasure for those who drink it, but it will also have the best of that which was mixed in with it to give it its taste and its sensation that is different from the pure wine that is given to the people of Jannah. Ibn Kathir here, he goes upon his usual separation between the muqarrabun. As for the muqarrabun, we know that they will have certain things that are only for them. وَمِزَاجُهُ مِن تَسْنِيمٍ عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. That tasneem is that from which only the closest of the people of Allah Azza wa Jal, the closest of the people to Allah will drink from. Then he mentions salsabil. Here Allah Azza wa Jal describes this river or this spring as being called salsabil. He said it is the river of wine mixed with zanjabil, or the zanjabil, the ginger. It is a spring in paradise. This comes out from a spring in paradise. The name of the spring is Salsabil. And that's why Ikrimah, he said, it is the name of a spring in Jannah. And Mujahid explained why it's called Salsabil. Because it comes out very easily. And it's something which is salis. It's easy upon the people. It's easy to take out. And because of how much it will flow, it's called salsabil. And the scholars, they differed about this word salsabil. Some of them said salsabil is al-ladhid, that which is, it has a very nice taste. And some of them said salsabil, it is as-sa'ir as-sahl, that which is suitable to drink and easy to drink, and easy upon a person to drink, is called salsabil. Then Ibn Kathir, he says, وَقَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ حَسِبْتَهُمْ لُؤْلُؤًا مَنْثُورًا أَيْ يَطُوفُ عَلَى أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ لِلْخِدْمَةِ وِلْدَانٌ مِنْ وِلْدَانِ الْجَنَّةِ مُخَلَّدُونَ أي على حالة واحدة مخلدون عليها لا يتغيرون عنها لا تزيد أعمارهم عن تلك السن ومن فسرهم بأنهم مخرصون في آذانهم الأقرطة فإنهم عبر عن المعنى بذلك لأن الصغير هو الذي يليق له ذلك دون الكبير. He says وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ, that there will be wildan. Wildan is the first proof that these are young boys and young people. They are not adults. Because the word wildan is jam'u walid. Like someone who is recently born, yani like you say walid, and he's someone who was relative, yani he's young in age. And the plural is wildan. Yani saghir, sigar, yani wildan sigar. They are young. And this word mukhalladun, Ibn Kathir, he mentions all of the three meanings of mukhalladun, but he kind of like mixes it in together. But there are three meanings that they mention for mukhalladun. The first meaning is ala halatin wahida la yataghayyarun anha. Anyone who is in a particular state that doesn't change is called mukhallad. In a particular state that doesn't change. It doesn't always mean age, but in a particular situation or a state that doesn't change is called mukhallad. Mukhallad. Also, being of, yani living for a long time or being of the same age, any being of one age is also called mukhallad. If they don't get older. So that's why Ibn Kathir, he said, لا تزيد أعمارهم عن تلك السن. They don't get any older. They stay at that age, young children, young boys at that age. And the other meaning of mukhalladun is mukharrasun. Those that have jewelry in their ears. They have jewelry in their ears. And he said this is a further evidence for the youth of their age, because this can only be done for a young boy. It cannot be done for an adult male. You cannot have an adult male who wears some kind of decorative thing on his ears. So this can only be this could only be applied. And it was from the tradition of the Arabs of old that the young boys, they used to wear adornments in their ears, the little boys. But not when they became adults, they would not. And not what resembles the women. So all of these three meanings come with the meaning of mukhallad. And Allah describes them elsewhere as ghilman. As ghilman. So from this we took that they are young in age. Who are these young boys? In this, the scholars had three opinions, of which one of them is very weak and there is a preference in them. The first opinion is that they are a people Allah will create for the purpose of serving the people of Jannah. They never lived on this earth. They were not humans who lived on this earth before. Allah creates them as young boys who never get old, and Allah puts them into Jannah for the purpose of khidmati ahlil Jannah, to serve the people of Jannah. The second opinion is that they are awladul mushrikeen, alladhina matu qabla sinnil bulugh. They are the young children of the polytheists who died before they reached puberty. And we know the general principle, And the Prophet ﷺ told us that the children of the believers are in paradise, right? Generally speaking, we don't make ta'yeen. We don't say Abdullah is in paradise and Fatima is in paradise. But we say that the children of the Muslims who die as children are in paradise. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, وَأَوْلَادُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ? What about the children of the polytheists? He said, وَأَوْلَادُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ? Also the children of the polytheists are in paradise. Only because they died before the age of puberty. And some of the scholars said they'll be tested and so on. But there is an opinion that these young boys they are the children of the mushrikeen. They are from the people of paradise, but Allah put them in paradise to serve the people of paradise. And the third opinion is that they are awladul mu'mineen alladhina matu duna sin al-bulugh. They are the believers' children. And this is ad'aful aqwal, the weakest of the three opinions, because this goes against the concept that the person will be reunited with their children in paradise and that their children will enjoy from paradise what they will enjoy. That Allah will join together the children of the believers with their fathers and mothers in paradise. So this idea that they are the children of the believers, this is the weakest opinion of the opinions. And the strongest of them is that Allah will create them for the purpose of serving the believers in paradise, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ حَسِبْتَهُمْ لُؤْلُؤًا مَنْثُورًا. Ibn Kathir, he says, إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ في انتشارهم في قضاء حوائج السادة وكثرتهم وصبح وجوههم وحسن ألوانهم وثيابهم وحريهم حسبتهم لؤلؤا منثورا ولا يكون في التشبيه أحسن من هذا ولا في المنظر أحسن من اللؤلؤ المنثور على المكان الحسن. Allah Azza wa Jal said, if you see them, you would imagine them to be lu'lu'an manthura. Lu'lu is a pearl. As for the statement manthuran, like that they are individual, like individual pearls. I will check what is written in the translation also, in case I can think of a better word for it. Where's it gone? Scattered is written in the translation. Let me see. Yeah, the translations all say scattered. The meaning of this is that they are separated from one another. Individually separated from one another. Meaning that each one of them is busy serving their masters in paradise. It's not the case that they are all together. And Ibn Kathir mentions a point here, that the beauty of a pearl is increased when it's seen by itself. As for if you see a pile of pearls, so each pearl doesn't stand out from the other. They are beautiful, but it doesn't stand out. But when you see a single pearl that is isolated from the others, it increases it in beauty. But they are called lu'lu'an manthura because each one of them is separate, serving the people that Allah has dedicated them to serve. And they are called lu'lu'an manthura because they are large in number. There are many of them. And because of the brightness of their faces, the beauty of them, their clothes and their jewelry, you would see them to be lu'lu'an manthura, like scattered pearls. And there is no example given more beautiful than this, nor anything you can imagine to look at more beautiful than this in this beautiful place. Then he says, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ يا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم أي هناك، يعني في الجنة، ونعيمها وسعتها وارتفاعها وما فيها من الحبرة والسرور، رأيت نعيما وملكا كبيرا، أي مملكة لله هناك عظيمة وسلطانا باهرا. وثبت في الصحيح أن الله تعالى يقول لآخر أهل النار خروجا منها وآخر أهل الجنة دخولا إليها: إن لك مثل الدنيا وعشرة أمثالها. فإذا كان هذا عطاؤه تعالى لأدنى من يكون في الجنة، فما ظنك بمن هو أعلى منزلة وأحوى عنده تعالى. He says regarding the statement, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ, it means هناك, over there. If you see, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in that place, yani in Jannah, if you see the blessings of Jannah, you see the vastness of Jannah, you see the pleasures of Jannah, the happiness of Jannah, you will see na'im, any eternal pleasure. وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. Ibn Kathir actually here, he makes a choice regarding this word mulk, that the mulk refers back to what Allah's kingdom. You will see the great kingdom of Allah, Allah's great kingdom of paradise. But the majority of the scholars of tafsir here, they return the word mulk to the individual people. Allah is telling about the blessings of the people of paradise, that every one of them will have a great and vast kingdom of their own that Allah will bestow upon them. And Ibn Kathir mentions this at the end. He said it's authentically reported in the Sahih that Allah will say to the last of the people of the believers to leave the fire and the last person to enter Jannah, you can have the same as the size of this dunya and 10 times more. If this is what is given to the least of the people of paradise, what do you think about what is given to the highest levels of the people of the highest levels of paradise and the people who have a greater portion of good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And if Allah gives 10 times the size of this dunya to the last person who will enter paradise, so what about the greatest and the best of the people and the muqarrabun, those who are near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وقوله جل جلاله عاليهم ثياب سندس خضر واستبرق، أي لباس أهل الجنة فيها الحرير ومنه سندس وهو رفيع الحرير. Ibn Kathir, he goes on to talk about the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, عاليهم ثياب سندس خضر واستبرق, the clothing of the people of paradise. لباس أهل الجنة, the clothing of the people of paradise. Allah describes 2 types of silk. He describes sundus and istabraq. These 2 types of clothing, or these 2 types of silk. Sundus is the silk which is very soft and light. Very, very soft and very light. And istabraq is the silk which is very, very heavy and weighty. Because there is silk that is extremely, extremely lightweight and soft. And there is silk that is very heavy, like a silk robe or a silk cloak that is very heavy. And that's why Ibn Kathir, he then goes on to say that the sundus, the silk which is very light, is what they will wear on the inner part of their body, and then what they will wear on the outer part of their body is the istabraq, the weighty, heavy silk. And he says after that, كَمَا هُوَ الْمَعْهُودُ فِي اللِّبَاسِ, this is what people are used to in terms of clothing. He said, وَهَذِهِ صِفَةُ الْأَبْرَارِ, وأما المقربون فكما قال يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ولؤلؤا ولباسهم فيها حرير. So again, Ibn Kathir went on his same way of distinguishing between the righteous and those that are near to Allah. He said, this is the clothing of the righteous. And the good people of Jannah, they will have light silk on the inside and heavy silk on the outside. As for the people who are in the highest levels of paradise, he brought the ayah in Surah Al-Hajj, ayah number 23. They will wear bracelets of gold and pearls, and their clothing in it will be silk. Allah, it seems to me, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best, that there is no reason to distinguish between the different levels of Jannah like this. Rather, you say that all of them will wear from the silk, either the light silk or the heavy silk, according to what Allah Azza wa Jal gives them. But it's not necessary in every ayah to say that this is for this side and this is for this side. That's what it seems to me to be the stronger opinion here. Then Ibn Kathir, he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَلَمَّا ذَكَرَ تَعَالَى زِينَةَ الظَّاهِرِ بِالْحَرِيرِ وَالْحُلِيِّ قال بعده وسقاهم ربهم شرابا طهورا أي طهر بواطنهم من الحسد والحقد والغل والأذى وسائر الأخلاق الردية. كما روينا عن أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه أنه قال إذا انتهى أهل الجنة إلى باب الجنة وجدوا هنالك عينين فكأنما ألهموا ذلك فشربوا من إحداهما فأذهب الله ما في بطونهم من أذى ثم اغتسلوا من الأخرى فجرت عليهم نظرة النعيم فأخبر سبحانه وتعالى بحالهم الظاهر وجمالهم الباطن. He said, when Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned their outer clothing, their beautiful silk clothing they will wear, green in color, and Allah mentioned the jewelry that they will wear, from the bracelets of silver and gold and pearls and so on. Allah said that He will give them a purifying drink. Now this word tahur, it comes meaning two things, and for this reason the scholars differed about the meaning of the ayah, because the word tahur, it comes meaning tahir wa mutahhir. It means pure in itself and it means purifying. So those who said pure in itself, they said, okay, the drink is pure. I mean, the alcohol in Jannah, the wine in Jannah is pure, right? It doesn't make you sick. It's not najis. It's not impure. It doesn't make somebody get a hangover. It's pure. But those who looked at it as mutahhir, it purifies you. So here they said, just like Allah beautifies their outer self, Allah will beautify them on the inside. Allah will beautify their inner selves by removing jealousy, hatred, ill feeling, pains and problems and bad manners and all of the things that they had on the inside of them, Allah will remove it. And this was the opinion of Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. He said, when the people of Jannah will reach the door of Jannah, they will find two springs. And they will drink from these two springs, and when they drink from one of them, Allah will remove all of the bad things from their inside. And when they make ghusl with the other one, Allah will give them the eternal pleasure of paradise. So Allah tells us about their outer selves and the beauty of their inner selves. From the scholars of tafsir are those who looked at both of them. From some of them who said also tahir, they said the drinks in paradise don't make you go to the bathroom. And this is also tahir, right? It's pure. Yani they don't make you, it's not when you drink the drink of the people of paradise. If you drink something today, so for sure after you drink, you will have to go, akramakumullah, to the bathroom. And that is, it takes away from the purity of that drink. But the purity of the drinks of the people of paradise, it doesn't have anything, any najasa associated with it. There is nothing impure which comes from a person when they drink from it. But others, they looked at the word tahur as meaning mutahhir, meaning that it purifies them, it removes their jealousy, it removes their hatred, it removes... It's interesting, this word ghil. It's interesting, this word. Have you ever thought about this word? I'm going to see, 1 second, to see what's this. This word ghil, I mean, they translate it as malice in the translations of the Quran. وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّنْ غِلٍّ. We took out the malice from their hearts. But have you ever thought of the origin of this word? What are aghlal? The binding chains that go around the prisoner's neck and that go around the prisoner's wrist. They're called aghlal, right? Like the chains that خُذُوهُ فَغُلُّوهُ, put this person and wrap them in chains. There's a benefit, a fa'idah lughawiyah here, a benefit in the language. And that is that this is what malice does to a person's heart. It chains up your heart. This is what malice, having ghil and hiqd and hasad in your heart, is like you put your heart in prison. You will never ever be happy. You will never be free. You will never enjoy yourself. You will never feel contentment. As long as you have al-hiqd, wal-hasad, wal-ghil in your heart, it's like your heart is in prison. It will never be free. Well, it's beautiful when you think about these words in the language. I came across this in some of the scholars mentioned it. It's as though the person is chained up and bound by the malice that's in their heart. So until you leave what is in your heart, until you leave the evil that is in your heart, and you leave jealousy and you leave hatred of other people, you will always be miserable. You'll be like a prisoner, even though you're not in prison and you're walking around a free person outside, but in reality you put yourself in prison because of the malice and the hatred and the dislike of people and jealousy that you have in your heart. For this is something to think about and to keep in mind. Then Ibn Kathir, he says, وَقَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى إِنَّ هَذَا كَانَ لَكُمْ جَزَاءً وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ مَشْكُورًا يُقَالُ لَهُمْ ذَلِكَ تَكْرِيمًا لَهُمْ وَإِحْسَانًا إِلَيْهِمْ كَمَا قَالَ تَعَالَى كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا هَنِيئًا بِمَا أَسْلَفْتُمْ فِي الْأَيَّامِ الْخَالِيَةِ وكقوله تعالى ونودوا أن تلكم الجنة أورثتموها بما كنتم تعملون وقوله تعالى وكان سعيكم مشكورا أي جزاكم الله على القليل بالكثير. Ibn Kathir, he talks about the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, إن هذا كان لكم جزاء وكان سعيكم مشكورا. This will be your reward and your efforts will be mashkur, appreciated. There will be shukr for your efforts. Now we normally think of the word shukr as thanks, right? But Allah doesn't need your efforts. All of your sa'i, your efforts you make and the hard work you do, Allah doesn't need it. Huwa al-ghani. Allah is the one that is free of all need. He doesn't need you and He doesn't need your worship and He doesn't need your effort. So what is this shukr? This shukr, in itself, the word shukr, أصل الشكر في كلام العرب, it means الظهور, for something to become prominent, to be visible. اعملوا آل داود شكرا. Act, O family of Dawood, in gratitude, for something to become visible. You were given something good and you appreciate it, so there is a visible marker of your appreciation. As for the Allah Azza wa Jal Shakur, it means yujazi bil ihsani ihsanan wa yudha'ifu alayhi fil jaza. It means two things. it means that Allah Azza wa Jal rewards what you have done and He gives you more than you deserve. And this meaning Ibn Kathir mentions it, and that's why really if you pay attention to what Ibn Kathir says, wallah, you benefit a great deal from what he says. Jazakumullahu ala al-qalili bil-kathir. Allah, you did very little for Allah. And we all did. The things we did in return for what Allah gave us, it was very, very small. We didn't really do anything. I mean, how many hours a day do you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many hours a day are you praying? 2 hours in the day, 3 hours in the day, 4 hours in the day, 24 hours Allah gave you. And you might manage 2 hours of those to be in prayer. Maybe there is some dhikr or some reciting of the Quran. But it's very little compared to what Allah gave you. Now compare that to your eyesight. It's nothing. And Allah has given you many more times than what you have done. But from the attributes of Allah and Allah's names, Ash-Shakur, and His attribute of gratitude or appreciation is that Allah gives you a huge amount of reward for a very small amount of work. But it requires sa'i. It doesn't require sitting down and you saying, oh, if Allah wanted to give me, He will give me, and I want you. This, no, not like this. It requires efforts. وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ. Your efforts you made, your hard work. You know what sa'i, you know, بين الصفا والمروة. And and here you're going back and forward, and you are like, you're working, you're running, and you're walking, and it's effort, right? It's efforts. It's not something that you're just sitting down and you are, lying down and saying, if Allah wants to give me, He will give me. You don't enter Jannah because of your actions. You enter Jannah because of Allah's rahmah, Allah's mercy. But who does Allah give that mercy to? الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. The people who work hard and they strive, as-sa'i and mujahada, they're striving, they're working, they are making themselves tired. Allah gives those people His rahmah. Their deeds are not enough. If you come with this prayer you made and this dars you attended and you say, Ya Allah, this is what I have. This doesn't give you eternal life in Jannah. It's nothing. You didn't do anything. But what it does is Allah Azza wa Jal multiplies that which you did many, many times over, and through His mercy you enter paradise. But that mercy is not random. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَعْلَمَ بِالشَّاكِرِينَ. Isn't it Allah who knows best who is grateful? Ibn Kathir gives some examples. كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا هَنِيئًا بِمَا أَسْلَفْتُمْ فِي الْأَيَّامِ الْخَالِيَةِ. The ba here, what is it? Sababiyya, right? It's the sabab. It's not that you entered Jannah because you did something good in the previous days. You entered Jannah by Allah's mercy. But the sabab of Allah's mercy was مَا أَسْلَفْتُمْ فِي الْأَيَّامِ الْخَالِيَةِ. What you did in the previous days. And we know that this dunya, it is a place of amalun bila hisab. It is a place of actions, but it's not necessarily a place where you're taken to account. You could do very good things and not get very much in this world. And you could do very bad things and you could get a lot in this world. But tomorrow, غَدًا حِسَابٌ بِلَا عَمَلٍ. You get taken to account for what you did. مَا أَسْلَفْتُمْ فِي الْأَيَّامِ الْخَالِيَةِ. What you did in the days that went by, you get asked for it, about it. And then you get judged based on it. And Allah's mercy is given to you according to it. And He also mentioned, وَنُودُوا أَن تِلْكُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. They will be called out to them that this is your Jannah. أُورِثْتُمُوهَا بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. You were given this Jannah because of what you used to do. What you used to do brought you Allah's mercy, and Allah's mercy brought you paradise. Some of the scholars explain it slightly differently, but it's the same kind of thing. They say that دُخُولُ الْجَنَّةِ بِرَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. The actual entering of Jannah is by Allah's mercy. وَمَنَازِلُ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ بِالْأَعْمَالِ. And the levels of paradise is based on what you did. You can't get into Jannah, you don't get in the door without Allah's mercy. And once you're in the door, are you going to be at the top or are you going to be at the bottom? Be according to the actions you did. And those two, in reality, it's the same concept. That you don't enter Jannah except by Allah's mercy, but Allah's mercy is not random. Allah's mercy is given to those who work hard for it. And Allah's guidance is given to those who work hard for it. This has a benefit on the topic of, or within the topic of Al-Qadr wal-Qada, that you should never ever stop working hard. Some people, when they hear about Qadr, what they do is they stop working hard. They said, if Allah wanted to guide me, He will guide me, and it's already written for me, and what shall I do, and all of that. But if they focus upon these ayat, and the Quran doesn't contradict, right? They will see that what is required from you in Al-Iman bil-Qadr is two things. First of all, to work hard. And second of all, to realize that you can't achieve anything without the help of Allah. And if you do those two things, then you will have understood what you've taken in fi Bab al-Qadr. You will understand it properly. And inshaAllah ta'ala. Ibn Kathir mentions one aspect of shukr here, but there are many. And all of the blessings that Allah gives you and shows you, all of this is a kind of shukr, because shukr, we said, is al-dhuhur, yani to show the effect of what you did, to prominently show the effect of what you did. So when all those blessings that they have, all of that is from what Allah Azza wa Jal gives them. Al-mujazatu ala al-amal al-muda'afati al-jaza. Yani Allah will give them rewards for their deeds, and Allah will multiply the rewards that they did. Then Ibn Kathir, he goes on to talk about يقول تعالى ممتنا على رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم بما نزله عليه من القرآن العظيم تنزيلا فاصبر لحكم ربك أي كما أكرمتك بما أنزلت عليك فاصبر على قضائه وقدره واعلم أنه سيدبرك بحسن تدبيره. He says here that Allah Azza wa Jal reminds the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam of the great virtue that He has given him in giving him the Quran. And He says, فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. Here Ibn Kathir, he brings this sabr as sabr upon qada and qadr. That's what he takes it as. He brings this sabr as sabr in qada and qadr. But in reality, Allah Azza wa Jal kept this open, right? He didn't specify qadr here. فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. There are two types of hukm. There are two types of hukm. Al-hukm al-shar'i and al-hukm al-qadari. So فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ covers both of them. Be patient in the commands which Allah gave you, and be patient in the decree which Allah gave you. Both of them. There is no real need to restrict one of them here. Maybe you can think about one of them more than the other, but both of them are there. فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. Be patient in what Allah has decreed for you in His Sharia. Halal, haram, keep away from the haram and do what Allah required you to do. And be patient in what Allah decreed to happen to you in His qadr and His decree. So both of them come here. وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ آثِمًا أَوْ كَفُورًا أي لا تطع الكافرين والمنافقين إن أرادوا صدك عما أنزل إليك بل بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وتوكل على الله فإن الله يعصمك من الناس. Ibn Kathir, he says, do not obey آثِمًا أو كَفُورًا. Here there is no, you find some of the scholars of tafsir, they said آثِم is so-and-so and kafur is so-and-so, and he saw this one is Abu Jahl and this one is... There is no need for this because Allah Azza wa Jal made it open. Al-Athim is the one, because of the extreme evil that they do, and they are not someone who sins, and someone who is kathiru sharri wal fasad, and lots of evil and corruption. Wal-utuwi wal-kufr, and trying to be proud and arrogant and disbelieving in Allah Azza wa Jal. And al-kafur is kathirul kufran, the one who is a severe disbeliever. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He did not limit it to anyone. He just do not obey these people who try to take you away from the path of Allah. One of them who is al-mufsid, who creates corruption on the earth, who does evil on the earth. And the other one is the one who disbelieves in Allah Azza wa Jal. And these two groups of people, even though there is an overlap, they are the worst of companions. So you must always be careful never to keep these people as your companions and never to obey them or listen to them. And the one who is kathiru sharri wal fasad, lots of evil and lots of corruption and lots of wrongdoing, and the one who is a disbeliever or is extremely ungrateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. What should you do instead of obeying those people? وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. Remember the name of your Lord, or the names of your Lord. Here, ism doesn't mean one name, but it means jinsul asma, all of the names of Allah. بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. أول النهار وآخره. The beginning of the day and the end of the day. The beginning of the day, it is the time of Fajr. And the end of the day is when the sun changes color. This is when we call this time asila. It's a long issue about when is the time for the adhkar al-masa. And this is from the adillah that they mention, that it should be done in the time when the sun changes color. For the end of Asr, just before Maghrib. And this is from the evidences they brought, because asil, it is the time when the sun changes color. When they say بياضها تميل إلى الصفرة, when the whiteness of the sun starts to become yellow and orange, this is asil. This is asil. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَاسْجُدْ لَهُ وَسَبِّحْهُ لَيْلًا طَوِيلًا. And from the night, be in prostration to Allah and say Subhanallah all night long, or for a long part of the night. Here there is an interesting point. Is what is meant here a sajda on its own, or what is meant here is the salah in general? This is something where you sometimes have to be careful about the difference between Arabic and English. In Arabic, many times, يسمى الشيء ببعضه أو بعض أنواعه أو صوره. Sometimes you name something after a part of it. Sometimes you name something after a part of it. Like the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَقُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ إِنَّ قُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ كَانَ مَشْهُودًا. Qur'an al-Fajr is Salat al-Fajr. But it's called Qur'an al-Fajr because it has a long qiyam and you read a lot of Qur'an in it. But many times we name something in Arabic by part of it. We're just referring to something. For example, in the hadith of Aisha, the athar of Aisha radiallahu anha, when Abu Hurairah was reading hadith to her, and she said, Kuntu usabbih. I was saying Subhanallah. Does it mean she was sitting saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah? The zahir is she was praying. She was praying at the time. Kuntu usalli. Kuntu usabbih. Kuntu usalli. I was praying. So sometimes you name something by a part of it. And some of them said it is tasbih. You say Subhanallah and Subhanallah. And so on. Likewise, you can think about this. What about the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ? in the time of as-sahar, suhoor, the time before fajr, they are asking Allah's forgiveness. Are they asking Allah's forgiveness by saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah? Or are they praying? Or are they praying for forgiveness? All of them can come under the meaning, right? You could have all of them. They are saying astaghfirullah. In their prayers, they say Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. Or they are praying, and the purpose of the prayer, and their qasd from the prayer, the reason they're praying is because they want Allah to forgive them for their sins. All of them come under it. Okay, I think we have to pause. I'm going to try to finish the surah because I'm conscious that we need to try to finish it, inshallah. So I'm probably not going to give much time for Q&A today. But what I will do, inshallah ta'ala, is I will try to finish because we're going to have a little break after this as well. So we just wait for who's going to do the adhan. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, ثم قال تعالى منكرا على الكفار ومن أشبههم في حب الدنيا والإقبال عليها والانصباب إليها وترك الدار الآخرة وراء ظهورهم إن هؤلاء يحبون العاجلة ويذرون وراءهم يوما ثقيلا يعني يوم القيامة. ثم قال تعالى نحن خلقناهم وشددنا أسرهم. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما ومجاهد وغير واحد يعني خلقهم. Allah Azza wa Jal, look at what Ibn Kathir says here, it's very important. He's rebuking the disbelievers and he's rebuking those people who follow them. Meaning some of us from the Muslims, we might fall into this. From loving the dunya and following it and chasing it and making it our main target and leaving the akhirah behind our backs. Indeed, these people, they love al-ajila. They love everything to come quickly. They love this world. And al-ajila is not just this world, but everything. We want everything quick, right? Everything we want it today. We want everything answered today and everything good to happen to us today. And they leave behind them a heavy day, which is Yawm al-Qiyamah. Then Allah Azza wa Jal says, we created them وَشَدَدَنَا أَسْرَهُمْ. Asrahum means khalqahum. And we made their creation firm, strong. For example, the bones and the joints of the body. Could you imagine what would happen if Allah Azza wa Jal didn't make your body strong? And when you raise your head would fall from your shoulders. Allah Azza wa Jal made you like you are. He put this strength that you have in your body and the connection of your body all together. But why does Allah mention that? Why? What's the relevance of it? وَإِذَا شِئْنَا بَدَّلْنَا أَمْثَالَهُمْ تَبْدِيلًا. And if we wish, we will replace them with a complete replacement. The scholars, they had two opinions about this. Ibn Kathir, he said, وَإِذَا شِئْنَا بَعَثْنَاهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَبَدَّلْنَاهُمْ. He said, if we wish, we will resurrect them Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the first opinion is بَدَّلْنَا أَمْثَالَهُمْ means the resurrection Yawm al-Qiyamah. If we wish, we will resurrect them Yawm al-Qiyamah. فَأَعَدْنَاهُمْ خَلْقًا جَدِيدًا وَهَذَا اسْتِدْلَالٌ بِالْبَدَاءَ عَلَى الرَّجْعَةِ. Allah Azza wa Jal, here, why does He mention your creation? Look how well Allah has created you. Now look that Allah will resurrect you Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is very common in the Quran. Allah tells you, look at yourself now. Now if you look at yourself now, you cannot deny that Allah will resurrect you Yawm al-Qiyamah. The second opinion, وَإِذَا شِئْنَا أَتَيْنَا بِقَوْمٍ آخَرِينَ غَيْرِهِمْ. We're going to bring a different people other than you. وَإِن يَشَاء. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إِن يَشَاء يُذْهِبَكُمْ أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ وَيَأْتِ بِآخَرِينَ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ قَدِيرًا. If Allah wishes, He will replace you with other people. And as Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إِن يَشَاء يُذْهِبُكُمْ وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. It's not hard for Allah to replace you with a different group of people. So there are two meanings here. The first meaning is that Allah will resurrect you, like how Allah created you now and how Allah made your creation strong and firm, He will resurrect you. And the second is that Allah will replace you with a different people. You should never ever forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it's easy for Him to remove you and me and bring other people. And I'm just going to give you one surah, one example of this. How many people, when they don't practice Islam, they become distant from the religion, they turn away and they walk away from the religion, wallahu musta'an. And Allah does what? He brings new people into the religion. And those new people start to practice the religion, and those old people who turned away from the religion before, they just become distant from it. Allah can replace me and replace you. He doesn't need Muhammad Tim to give da'wah in Dubai or give classes here. If Allah Azza wa Jal wills and wishes, He will replace every single one of us and bring better people. So don't ever feel like you deserve to be here or you are worthy of being here. فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَنِعْمَةً. It's a grace from Allah and His mercy. Wallahu alimun hakim. And Allah knows better where to give that mercy to. I'm going to read you the last paragraph, which Ibn Kathir said to conclude the surah. ثُمَّ قَالَ تَعَالَى إِنَّ هَذِهِ السُّورَةِ تَذْكِرَةٌ فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا أي طريقا ومسلكا. أي من شاء اهتدى بالقرآن كقوله تعالى وماذا عليهم لو آمنوا بالله واليوم الآخر وأنفقوا مما رزقهم الله وكان الله بهم عليما. ثم قال تعالى وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله. We'll do the first part first. He said إن هذه تذكرة, and إن هذه السورة تذكرة. This surah is a reminder. So whoever wills will take a path to their Lord. Yani they will take a road of guidance. They will be guided by the Quran. إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. This Quran guides to what is righteous and upright. And the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا إِن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. The one who wants to be guided and wants to take a path will not be able to take that path unless Allah wills. إِلَا يَقْدِرُ أَحَدٌ أَنْ يَهْدِيَ نَفْسَهُ وَلَا يَدْخُلَ فِي الْإِيمَانِ He said, the person can't guide himself and he can't enter himself into Iman. وَلَا يَجُرُّ لِنَفْسِهِ نَفْعًا. And he can't bring benefit for himself unless Allah wills. Allah is knowing and wise of everything. عَلِيمٌ بِمَنْ يَسْتَحِقُّ الْحِدَايَةِ فَيُيَسِّرُهَا لَهُ. Allah knows who deserves to be guided, and so He makes it easy for them to be guided. وَيُقَيِّضُ لَهُ أَسْبَابَهَا. And He makes it possible for the causes of guidance to be given to that person. And whoever deserves to be misguided, فَيَصْرِفُهُ عَنِ الْهُدَى. He takes him away from that guidance. وَلَهُ الْحِكْمَةُ الْبَالِغَةُ. And He has infinite wisdom. وَالْحُجَّةُ الدَّامِغَةُ. And He has perfect, and His proof and His evidences that He gives and His explanation is perfect. And for this reason Allah said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. يُدْخِلُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ. He puts whoever He wills into His mercy. وَالظَّالِمِينَ أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. أَن يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ وَيُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ وَمَن يَهْدِهِ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ وَمَن يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. آخر سورة الإنسان وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ وَالْمِنَّةُ. He says He guides whoever He wants and He misguides whoever He wants. Whoever He guides, there is no one to misguide him, and whoever misguides, there is no one to guide him. I want to give you just that. There is a qa'idah عند أهل السنة والجماعة في مسألة الهداية والضلالة. The issue of Allah guiding and misguiding and things like that. And it's good if you write it down or if you try to remember it. The principle is إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ نِعْمَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا وَيُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ حِكْمَةً مِّنْهُ وَعَدْلًا. This is the qa'idah. Allah guides whoever He wants as a grace and a favor. and He misguides whoever He wants out of wisdom and justice. That's exactly the summary of what Ibn Kathir said. And it's the summary of what Allah said. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا إِن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ نِعْمَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا. Allah guides whoever He wants as a grace and a favor. You don't deserve guidance. I think, why did Allah not guide me? You don't deserve guidance. Guidance is a grace and a favor. It's a bonus that Allah gave you. وَيُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ حِكْمَةً مِّنْهُ وَعَدْلًا. Every time Allah misguides a person, it is wise and just. And there are many examples of that in the Quran. Look at the ayat in Surah Al-An'am and elsewhere about the people of the fire. وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَإِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ. Even if we return them to this earth, they would do the same thing again, and they are the liars. So a person should never, ever, ever feel like guidance is deserved, and they should never feel that misguidance is unfair. Every time that Allah guides you, it is a grace and a favor, but it doesn't mean it's random. It's not like guided, misguided, guided, misguided, guided, misguided. And it is out of wisdom. But it's a favor, it's a grace, you don't deserve it. It's a benefit, it's something Allah gave you as a gift, so appreciate the gift He gave you. And as for misguidance, it is infinitely wise and infinitely just. وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَإِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ. If we put them back on this earth, they would do the exact same thing again. And indeed they are the liars. And so we understood the qa'idah, the principle about Allah's guidance and misguidance, and it is from the most important of the qawa'id al-muta'alliqa bil-qadr wal-qada, the principles of al-qadr wal-qada. That is that guidance and misguidance both come from Allah as a grace and a favor out of wisdom and justice. Ikhwani, there is no class for the next 2 weeks, inshallah, and possibly more, at least 2 weeks for me. Sheikh Abdul Rahman is here. For me, for 2 weeks, there is no class. Next week and the following week, there is no class for me here. Tazkiyatun Nafs is still tomorrow, and I will announce about that later. But the Friday class after Maghrib, Sheikh Abdul Rahman is still here. But after Maghrib, my class will not be next week or the week after. Maybe it might even go another week after that, but we will inform you about it, inshallah ta'ala. So stay in touch with how you found out about the class, the Telegram group and all that stuff. Stay in touch with it, inshallah ta'ala. That's what Allah Azza wa Jal made easy for me to mention, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.